when we were watching that, we were looking at it and both of them were saying it. And even I, like, you don't need to go for two when they went for two, because what happens is it starts a pattern of chasing points.
Right.
You don't hit the first 2-point conversion. Now you lost a point that you would have gotten with the extra point, and now you got to go chase it again. So let's just go back into the game and not go for two on those two instances and kick the extra points. Well, guess what Will Reichert's field goal is time expires. It's for the win.
It's over.
And so you can get into all the books and charts and analytics. Well, it's for some reason college football, and this is a much bigger picture conversation, but in some reason we've stopped looking at a decision that's going to bear seeds in the fourth quarter and started looking at right now, get the two now. We've got many examples of how that's going to come back and get you. And now those decisions early in a game to not just kick the extra point and think about it big picture knocked Alabama out of the college football playoff. And we're sitting here this morning thinking, well, how in this game did Brian Kelly coach a better game, which he did, than Nick Saban?
Yeah, and again, you put your team on the defensive too when you don't get that. It's okay with giving them confidence, but there's just something about it. And I listen. We all know Nick Saban turned 71 this week. Everyone's looking for signs, but I hear things from people that know him very well. I hear things from inside that program, and there are whispers that this is not a diminished Nick Saban, but there's a fractional difference between this year and last year and the year before, and I think that's obvious. It's a cliche to say what I'm about to say, but if you want to see what Alabama football looked like during the absolute pinnacle of the Saban era a couple of years ago, when they were in the championship game every year, just go over to Athens. That's what Nick Saban football looked like at its peak. It doesn't look like that anymore. And I don't think it's a lack of talent. There's plenty of talent there. It's just, it's a matter of putting people in the right position and getting them to play well. And there's some explosive players who are missing. Please don't misunderstand me. There's no way you can, when you look at Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs and Judy, it's an endless streak.
Jameson Williams, Jalen Waddle, all of them.
Mechie last year. These guys all made, and the guys on. I mean, but Brooks made a huge play yesterday. There were some big plays made, but I mean, that one play by Bryce Young.
Oh,
that was a Heisman moment, but the defense can't hold up, and we're seeing a lot of things changing in college football right now, and Nick Saban's program. It seems like it's regressing, and I know somebody's going to come out of their chair and go, oh, "What are you talking about? They lost by a field goal to Tennessee, and they had a field goal that perhaps could have won it." But you're talking about two teams that Alabama should not be losing to.
Well, and you mentioned a second ago, it's part of the storyline. Texas, Quinn Ewers goes out. They had to fight to get that win, and then now Texas A&M's awful. And with a competent
6 losses,
with a competent play calling quarterback, they could have beat him again in a game that they had no business hanging around. And so we have touched on this before, and I don't want to go dive too far down this path because I do want to get to LSU. We've talked about how the evolution of college football over the past few years, where players now have as much, if not a little bit more power than coaches now.
Mm-hmm.
And in a Nick Saban run program, it's this is mine. You were fortunate enough to be a part of what I'm going to provide you.
Exactly.
Now there's nicer cars in the parking lot. There's really nice, expensive suits. And now the players, I don't know if that's it, but something in the last few years has changed a little bit in the sport, which it appears to have some kind of factor here.
Matt, you work at a big corporation where there are happy campers and disgruntled people. We have seen it all. And I'm about to say something that you may laugh at. Nick Saban seems like a disgruntled employee. Now, as I say that, he's the highest paid coach in college football. He's got a lifetime contract. What he's disgruntled about isn't his salary, isn't his contract. It's not his working conditions. He's disgruntled about the condition of college football.
Right.
He hates it. And I don't care what he says about NIL. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like giving players freedom. He doesn't like entitled players. And it just seems like what we saw him that night that created that firestorm that now seems like ancient history with Jimbo Fisher, that was really him talking. And I know that was real because I had heard the same thing from Nick Saban a couple weeks earlier in a private phone conversation. I've spoken to other people in prominent positions connected to college football who have been at the other end of Nick Saban complaining about this and why can't this guy do that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.